artists, when you say you drop, like everything I put out, I feel like it's the best thing ever. But I'm not the critic. I'm not the one who gets to decide that.
I feel like we do a hell of a job podcasting, but I know in my heart of hearts, every single episode ain't a classic.
Yeah.
You can't, sometimes it's...
And it's not on us to decide.
It's on the people.
What the audience is gonna
It's on the people. They'll tell you.
To bring this back around to what we had in the pod, like it was going on, sometimes you got to be that person that humbled themselves, take the criticism.
People get it twisted that because a guy has, a good run, that they have a classic. No, it ain't a classic. Everything isn't a classic.
I think our next topic is one that we done had it on here for a while, and it's just like time, man. Always like we ain't got enough time to go through it. But it's something that I definitely wanted to discuss. I mean, because we ran into some hiccup between us internally trying to figure out this for our next Only the Classic series.
Yeah,
and it's just like you'll say a name, and I'll be like, nah, and then I say a name, you be like, nah. What is a classic and what defines a classic, right? We had to make a good line.
We specifically talking about hip hop because that's what we gravitate to more. We do enjoy R&B, don't get me wrong, but that's not the topic of discussion for today. It is more mainly on hip hop, just so we clear everybody. But because I want to get right into it.
I mean, because if we was talking R&B, just go look at anything Usher did. That's classic. That's what classic is. That's what defines the R&B for me.
Hey man.
But classic, man. Like, so what we had to break it up in different categories, and I think we'll dive into it. But let's first what do you consider a classic? I'll let you get into yours, and then I get in mine, and we'll discuss it.
For sure. So this is hard, man. This is hard to kind of decipher and to break down into something simple. So I just tried to keep it simple, and based on our conversation, we'll figure it out. But this is what I feel. Of course, this is subject to everybody's own opinion, but I think this is a very solid way to look at it. The classic has to be non-debatable, no matter who you talk to that is a consumer of music, whether they're a casual, whether they're a hardcore fan, or whether they're somebody that's mainstream only. You know what I mean? Like, it has to resonate with all of them, no matter what. And even if you hate that artist, if you say it's not a classic, you fronting. You can't even front on them. You can't even front on them. You gotta be like, you know what? I don't like them like that, but it is a classic. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it has to fulfill.
Like, that to be the one, like,
right.
I still don't like, but I understand.
Yeah, it has to fulfill that criteria that no matter where you go, any part of the world, this album is a classic. There's plenty. You could say Good Kid, Mad City is one of those that no matter who you talk to, it's a classic. Supreme Clientele, Ghostface Killer. No matter who you talk to, only built for Cuban links. These are the type of levels that we're talking about. We're not just giving you the regional classics, which exists. That exists in a space.
Let's not go down.
But I'm
there
not gonna. We're gonna slow roll them. We're
Yeah.
gonna slow roll them into that. I get it. So back to the undeniability thing, man. That artist has to rap at a top tier level on the project. That is hands down, no debating. Because if you don't have that, then I really don't consider you hip hop. You know what I mean? Like you have to be rapping well and make good music. Like I don't care who you are. Now the ability to rap is in the eye of the beholder, but we know what we're talking about. You know what I mean? Making a full body of work. The hooks have to be top notch. So when we're talking about that body of work, you just can't be one of these rappers that rap straight through everything. And
can't
you
be
know
a
one-trick
pony.
One-trick pony. You know what I mean? You have to have the hooks. You have to have the bars. You have to have the musicality in this entire project that is very memorable. The album has to be at the forefront, not necessarily the fact that, oh, I'm the best, illest rapper alive. No, okay, cool. But did you make the best album?
Yeah.
This is
That's the difference.
This is a classic. the song placement has to be damn near perfect on this album, from sequencing to how I hear it the first time, because that's how people are gonna go back to it. They're gonna have their favorites and all that, but the sequencing has to be well, and the features, if you feature, must be well placed. You cannot be dominated on this album, and if you are,
I get where you're going.
If you are dominated,
get where you going here.
Hey, if you are dominated, you better hold your own goddamn own on your own album now. You know what I'm saying? Okay,
but can groups create a classic album in that scheme then?
Groups, yeah, absolutely. Groups are
you said like they can't be dominated. So
no, you can't be dominated on the album to the point
by
where
somebody that's outside
your feature, outside of like your feature list can't be so expansive to where I love all your features, but when it's down to you, I really don't like it. That can't be a classic. It can't be a classic because you got a whole bunch of features. You know what I'm saying? You still have to shine through.
I got questions.
You still have to shine through. It's people that have a lot of features. There's a lot. There's examples.
I think it's one album that you're thinking of that I would still consider a classic, but it has a ton of features.
It works. Life After Death.
Jesus Piece.
Yeah, Life After Death is one of them. But who shines through? Whose personality, ability shines through? It's Game's ability. You know what I mean? It's Big's ability in regards to the two albums that we randomly brought up. You know what I mean? So, that's that. Number 4. That album needs to dominate its space at the time of release, the year of release. It don't have to be the best album that year, but it has to dominate. You know what I mean? So if it does that, then of course it's a classic. It has to be a classic in the minds and the hearts of the people, not just your region, not just your block, not just your hood. The minds of the people, the masses. Like I said, the casuals, the hardcore listeners, the people that are all around, just, mainstream. All right, cool. I listen to it. But no matter who you talk to, it should not be an argument that comes out of their mouth, because it's going to be a classic at that point. I mean, that replay value is my last point. Mm-hmm. You have to go back to this album, and it has to have something for every mood that you are in.
Yep.
Whether you're in the gym, whether you're in a sad mood, just lost your girl. I mean, I'm just spitballing here. But the albums that take you to different ways. Drake's Take Care is one of them. A lot of people don't say that's a classic. I'd argue to death, because most people feel like it is. So regardless of how you feel about that, man, that album has a ton of replay value. You can play it right now and it resonates.
Yep.
And I'm not the hugest of Drake fan. I just enjoy his music, but that is a classic and it has replay value. So
those are cash.
Those are cashes. My narratives, my 5 bullet points that I got here. I was prepared for y'all shit. So I'm here. Argue me down. Am I forgetting something? I wanted to keep it concise for y'all, so y'all can,
So, man, I think the best way for me to jump into mine and me to define mine, man, is picking off right where you left off. It's not my number one, but it is on here. Is be timeless. Like, the music is timeless. Like, and I think that goes a little bit where you're saying no matter what, it stands up. So yeah, it's no matter what time period you're saying on. Like, if somebody listened at it today, they're gonna be like, that's legit. You know what I mean? Still. So if it was from 1996, 1982, whatever, it's still going to resonate. You know what I mean? It's a timeless type album. It's going to be able to, you're going to say, no, that he was top tier, and it's still clear that they was top tier at this point, right? Another thing they're going to have is uniqueness. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that, it's got to be their sound, their definition of it is going to be undeniable at that point, right? To put it more, it either captures a moment, it's either going to define it, whatever movement, whatever thing going on, it's that pinnacle. It's defining that whole type of movement.
Kind of like a Dipset of the time. Like that movement was strong, and they had classic albums that came out of that camp during that time, just based on just everything they were about.
Yep. Yeah. Or it jump starts a movement. It's going to be one of those. You know what I mean? It's going to be something that was like, hey, when you talk about this type of sound, this is that sound that kind of defines
a lot of things came with it. Like T.I. had that run where he had the movie out. Best album.
Trap music.
It was just.
I mean, that's what it is. It's like so he was owning that and defining it. Like he defined what trap music is. Like on that, you know.
Sometimes we're centering on the music, but like he said, you have to own the moment, and the music has to be the top space that is on in the moment. Not everything around it. Everything around it is cream on top.
Yeah.
But when you got everything around it and you got that album, man, it's hard to deny it.
Yep. And then it's got to be power in the words, man. It got to be lyrical, man. It got to have that content in it, and that's mean just like the words are gonna get to you at a certain point. And that's not necessarily mean that everything, like you can have a crunk music but still have that content within it. You can have the 3-6 Mafia type of club music,
Legends,
but it still can have that type of when you go back and listen at it, it was like, oh man, that resonated with me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like Lil Jon's Crunk. What was the name of the album where they had like the little laser like graphic art
Crunk
on
Juice?
it? Crunk Juice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Did you just say it?
I didn't say it,
but just that is one of them ones where that defined an era. Like shit, people still say crunk music, and it's not really relevant at this time, but it lasted a long ass time. And that was the catalyst for many people.
Yeah, because like it has the body of work, the full body of work within the music to stand up behind it. You know what I mean? And that's why you're gonna be able to, it may be something that you can still resonate with that they're saying that goes to day-to-day life or with everything in every situation. So it's gonna have that. And above all else, man, it's gonna have range. So that means like they're gonna be able to, as much as artists say like, oh, I'm not this club type person. You can do it though, and you can dabble in it if you want to be considered the classic. You know what I mean? Or
Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe is the perfect example.
Or the one I'm gonna give you to is just like a Kid Cudi type of deal. Like when you got a mood, you own that mood, and you show like each ebb and flow of that mood. So he got the depression type music, but all his beats and selection is not all.
It's not necessarily
slow,
that.
Just get you down. It shows the different waves that you can go on to get depressed. You may be high up here and then lose something that brings you down here. So like it's gonna have that full range. You know what I mean? And it's gonna have the different levels to it as it goes through it. So like I just feel like that's what defines a classic to me. Now, has to be universally liked and approval. What that means is 8 out of the 10 people that you sit here and talk to is probably going to say, yeah. Because you're going to always have some haters no matter what you're doing. So it's going to be some people like, nah, I don't consider it.
If you're getting laughed out the barbershop, odds are it's a classic. If everybody's saying get the hell out the barbershop when you talking your crazy noise about something not being a classic, then odds are you wrong, bro.
Yeah.
You just have a...
If you're reaching and you up there like, you feel me, right? And that one person is the only person coming with you.
That's the cat that nobody know in the barbershop, but it's like, nah, it's a classic, dog. And you gotta let it go, man. It's universally known, man.
Yeah. Now, what we get lost into, and what I done got lost into, and what he done got lost into when we've been going back and forth this, is the stuff that is regional bias.
And classic to just you.
It's a regional.
And a few little niche people in your niche that like it. You're wrong. That's not a classic. Is it a regional classic, Prez?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You gotta have some people that were like, oh man, yeah, that's it right there. But is it gonna resonate with everybody? No.
Damn sure ain't. So you can't come in here bringing your Pastor Troy's, and like I said, no disrespect, but it may be the hardest shit ever in that region. But if you go ask somebody from the Midwest, in the South, East Coast, like you said in pre-production, some of y'all haven't traveled the world. Like you get out of your bubble, man, or out of your state, out of your block, bro. I'm telling you, some of the people that you think are the hardest artists that have classics, nobody has even heard of them.
Yeah,
and no disrespect to them, but it's a regional classic, and just keep it as that, man.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they done humbled themselves when they went and traveled, and they realized like, damn. They ain't feeling me.
My shit ain't popping in Barcelona.
They ain't in Seattle, man. Crowd wasn't as big. Yeah, bro. Like
it's not a classic.
Yeah. So But I mean, you're gonna have those other artists like we went to the point. I think we called Kendrick like early on, like when he was touring and stuff. Like went to one concert, not that many people there.
Nope.
Went to another concert,
whole arena. You know what I mean? So that's that's considering this guy may have a classic on his hands because he did at a certain point. He was building towards it with the mixtape. So you seen it bubbling, and then when he finally dropped Good Kid, here we are. Classic, out the gate, you know what I mean? And he's continued to drop other classics since then, like Can't Miss.
So I what I want to get into too, I believe the artists, the reason they don't get involved in these conversations, because they recognize this. They want people to argue back and forth on their behalf, but I think they're more aware of it, and they understand like, nah, bro, like, down south, like they can't fuck with me. But
when I go to Oakland or when I go to New York, like it's a little, it's not as love, not as much love out there for me. You know what I mean?
And the one I bring up like constantly is just like Underground Kings, right? UGK. It's in their name. They knew that, like, hey,
now today they're more world renowned, but like
it wasn't that to
it
that
was
like Jay-Z, Big Pimping, and then now everybody started getting. That's when Pun, and I said Big Pun. That's when they was able to do their solo projects and stuff out here and get the single features and everything. But before then, it was like in those regions was where they was like, hey, you can pay me for a verse or whatever here. And if I want to adapt your sound, I'll go drag you for here to like get your audience in. But it wasn't no universal. And I think that's where it comes in.
Yeah, and it got, like I said, man, it could be people you don't like, man. Like as much as I wasn't the type of rap I was into during when Nelly was dropping Country Grammar, I absolutely wasn't into Nelly's type of style, but I heard it so much, listened to the album, and I was like, I like this, and this is he can't miss. Like all of this is feel good music. You know, everything doesn't have to be like you said, lyrics have to matter, but when what it is like not how you're saying it, what you're saying. Mm-hmm. And Nelly was nailing it on every single track on Country Grammar. And come on, man, the fact that thing went 10 times platinum, man, like. Good God, bro! Like you know what I mean.
If you sitting there still
fighting it, man. like I'm not all about sales, but that's like whoop, the bow on top. Like come on, man. Everybody knows that album front to back. Like if you listen to it from the dude that doesn't necessarily listen to Nelly a lot to the guy that I mean, Jay said the only dudes moving units is M Pimp, Juice, and Us. Like you don't get in the Jay-Z lyric if you ain't doing your thing, man. So. The music got to speak for itself. There's no filler in the album. It's the sales are substantial. Mm-hmm. That's a part of it. As much as we say we don't care about sales, but if our favorite artists sell, guess what we gonna do? We gonna bring up, and he went 5 times. We gonna throw that on the table too. So we can't be foolish enough to say, if it's a good body of work, no matter how much you sell, no, it matters. It's a good stat to have.
It definitely. Then you always bring up those Jay-Z. Women lie, men lie.
Numbers don't. I remember we was having an argument with 50 Cent falling off and all this other stuff. We was like, can't ever take away Get Rich, Die Trying. Nope. And then immediately what come out? Oh, that shit sold. Like that's like one of the first things that come out. He don't have to sell another record. Mm-mm. If T.I., I think we were comparing him to T.I. at the time, and it's like, okay, T.I. has a long career, more good records out, but with the T.I. conversation and it's some other guys that fall into
I think this is where it came out. Like, I think it was originally like, because like T.I. want to go out and self-proclaim that he has 4 or 5 classic albums or whatever. He's saying
and that's not the truth.
And 50 has one, and it's just like,
but that
for either one, for you to achieve a classic album, man, I feel like that is a huge accomplishment, and that don't have the same stagnation or stigma on it as a one-hit wonder song.
Yeah,
if you was able to capture everybody in a whole album and have multiple hits off, bro, you did something. You should be applauded. You should be happy. You should. I understand that you may never get back there, but like what you did is gonna constantly like live on well beyond you. like at that point. So be extremely happy with that. But artists, when you say you drop, like everything I put out, I feel like it's the best thing ever. But I'm not the critic. I'm not the one who gets to decide that.
I feel like we do a hell of a job podcasting, but I know in my heart of hearts, every single episode ain't a classic.
Yeah,
you can't. Sometimes it's
not on us to decide.
It's on the people.
It's
on the people.
So
they'll tell you.
To bring this back around to what we had in the pod, like it was going on. Sometimes you got to be that person that humble themselves, take the criticism, and go back and improve. A la Jim Jones type of deal.
Absolutely.
I feel like that's grown man shit right there.
Way to wrap it up,
with
man.
somebody and saying, I have 4 or 5 classics. You're wrong. Am I?
Because if everybody don't feel that way, you're wrong. So it is what it is when it comes to that, man. So again, man, do you have anything else with this? Because I know we got a part 2 of this coming. Because
we definitely got a part 2.
We spoke on several guys that have classic albums. But some guys have more classic material than albums, and we want to speak to that. Classic albums versus classic material. How do we judge artists on that? The longevity, and all these other things. So we're going to definitely double back and have that conversation next week, because I think these are dope conversations to have, because people get it twisted that because a guy has, a good run, that they have a classic. No, it ain't a classic. Everything isn't a classic. Yeah, we're going to go back. Like I said, we're going to come back next week, and we're going to have that classic material versus classic album, and how we can appreciate both artists, but not muddying the waters between the two. Not giving an artist a classic album because you like him or her. You know what I mean? Just giving it up and say, you can maybe reference your conversation and say, this artist, it has classic material. We were just talking about a few artists. I don't want to give them away that we were saying that they have classic material and don't have classic albums. There's some of our favorite artists that don't have classic albums that we were talking about. That pains us to say, but it has to be said. You know what I mean? They have classic moments, material, but not albums. So we'll definitely tackle that. If you like what you were listening to here and you're out there in YouTube land, definitely hit like, subscribe. Do all that. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter. It's going to be floating somewhere.
I hate to repeat it. Hit that like button if you've been watching. It helps us get on the algorithms.
Like buttons.
Start getting a little bit more movement, man. We're trying to get this subscribers
audio
up, man.
Audio people
comment,
rate.
man. Throw the comment down there. If it's good job, if it's like,
come on, damn it.
Just throw a comment.
Y'all know we look good and sound good. Come on, compare us to the other people, man.
Yeah. And feedback, that type of feedback, if y'all saying something, we doing something wrong, man, is help us know what we need to work on.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it all.
Way to close that one out. Man. Hit the like button. Push the goddamn button. You know what I mean? But here we are, man. But we out, man. We out.